Late one stormy night, I found myself alone in my grandmother's old house, surrounded by antique furniture and dusty memories. My grandmother had recently passed away, leaving me her cherished possessions. Among them was a magnificent antique mirror that had always captivated my curiosity as a child. Little did I know, that mirror held a chilling secret. As I stood before the mirror, the room was dimly lit by flickering candles, their flames dancing wildly in response to the storm outside. Rain battered the windows, and thunder rumbled in the distance. The gold rims and the flawless glass stood in front of me, as if it was untouched. The mirror's ornate frame, carved with eerie figures and symbols, seemed to come alive in the candlelight. Unable to resist, I gazed into its depths. At first, I saw only my own reflection. But then, as if emerging from the shadows, twisted and ghostly figures began to materialize behind me. Their ghastly faces contorted with pain and anger. My heart pounded in my chest as a sense of terror engulfed me. Desperate to break the horrifying connection, I tried to turn away, but my eyes remained locked on the mirror. Panic set in as I realized I couldn't move. It was as if an invisible force held me in place. The figures grew closer, their cold, skeletal hands reaching out towards me. In that moment, I screamed, a piercing cry of fear that echoed through the house. And then, everything went black. "Save me! Save me, please!" When I awoke, I was no longer in the room with the mirror. Instead, I found myself in a dark, cold place, surrounded by a haunting silence. I was trapped, unable to move or speak. It was as though I had been transported to another realm. Strange. It felt as if I was going to be eaten out alive, and all my screams were swallowed into the void for no one to hear. "Oh no no no," I whispered to myself. "Please someone help me, please. I would do anything." I tried screaming, but to no avail. The darkness had swallowed me whole and I wasn't going to make it out anytime soon. Days turned into weeks, and I remained in this eerie, lifeless existence. I couldn't see anyone or anything. It was a nightmare from which I couldn't wake up. I couldn't call out for help, physically or logically, and it felt like time was ticking for me. I needed a way out, but I didn't know how. Then, as suddenly as it had all begun, I found myself back in front of the mirror in my grandmother's house. But something had changed. The figures were gone, and the room was still. My reflection stared back at me, but it was different. It was as if I had aged decades in those few moments. "Hello?" I said, hoping someone could hear me. "You're released," a voice whispered back. I couldn't even scream anymore. I stumbled backwards, horrified by the sudden revelation that someone followed me back to grandmother's house. I stumbled back, disoriented and shaken. I tried to comprehend what had happened to me. It felt like an eternity had passed, but it had only been a night. I stood still, as if that would help me get rid of the tall hooded figure that stood before me. "Who are you?" I asked. "Why did you take me in? I've never disrupted anyone's peace before. Why would you come after me now?" "Well, there's no need to be worried now. Just know that the debt has finally been paid and you no longer need to worry." As soon as those words escaped from its mouth, everything turned into black again. Finally, everything was back in its place: the rug, the cushions, the large sofa that turned into a bed, the curtains, the clock. It was as if everything was brand new, left untouched. As I tried to make sense of my ordeal, I noticed the antique mirror was gone, as if it had never been there. It had vanished, leaving behind only the lingering memories of the horrors I had witnessed. To this day, I can't explain what happened that night, nor can I forget the twisted figures that haunted the mirror. Story 2. Days turned into weeks, and our lives outside of the Whispering Woods continued, but the weight of that eerie night never truly left us. The memory of those ghostly apparitions and their haunting story clung to our thoughts like a relentless shadow. Our once close-knit group of friends began to drift apart, haunted not only by the forest but by our own curiosity that had led us deeper into the unknown. As the months passed, strange occurrences began to plague each of us individually. Some of us reported hearing those same whispered voices in our dreams, beckoning us back to the Whispering Woods. Others claimed to have seen ghostly figures lurking in the corners of their vision, always just out of reach. The curse that had been spoken of by the apparitions seemed to be slowly encroaching on our lives. It was during one particularly sleepless night that I received a message from Sarah, one of my closest friends from that ill-fated camping trip. Her words were frantic and filled with fear, recounting a series of terrifying events that had been unfolding in her life. She had become obsessed with the forest, unable to shake the feeling that the answers to the forest's mysteries lay hidden within. Desperate to find a way to break the curse that had befallen us, Sarah had embarked on her own journey into the Whispering Woods, armed with old maps and cryptic clues. She implored me to join her, to help her uncover the truth and put an end to the torment that had become our lives. Reluctantly, I agreed to meet Sarah at the edge of the forest. The Whispering Woods loomed before us, its dark canopy stretching out like a foreboding welcome. As we ventured deeper into the heart of the woods, Sarah's determination was unwavering, her resolve unbreakable. She believed that solving the mystery was the key to breaking the curse. Days turned into weeks as we followed the clues and retraced the steps of the settlers who had once lived here. Along the way, we uncovered hidden diaries and fragments of the past, painting a grim picture of betrayal, jealousy, and a gruesome massacre that had taken place among the settlers. But as we delved deeper into the forest's history, we also discovered something more sinister. It wasn't just the settlers who had met their tragic end here. There were whispers of a malevolent entity that had been awakened by the bloodshed, an entity that hungered for more. It sought to trap souls within the forest, feeding on their fear and despair, growing stronger with each passing year. Sarah and I realized that breaking the curse would not be as simple as uncovering the truth. We had to confront the malevolent force that had taken root in the Whispering Woods. Armed with newfound knowledge and a sense of purpose, we prepared for a final, fateful confrontation. As we ventured deeper into the forest, the malevolent entity made its presence known. Shadowy tendrils reached out to ensnare us, and the forest itself seemed to come alive, with trees shifting and roots rising to impede our progress. It was a battle of wills, a struggle between our determination to break free and the malevolent force's desire to consume us. In the midst of this intense confrontation, a new plot twist emerged. The ghostly apparitions we had encountered on that first night in the forest reappeared, but this time, they were not trying to draw us closer. Instead, they formed a protective barrier around us, shielding us from the malevolent force. These apparitions were the spirits of the settlers who had been wronged and betrayed in life, and they had been trying to protect the forest from the malevolent entity for centuries. They guided us to a long-forgotten altar deep within the woods, where we discovered a ritual that could banish the malevolent force once and for all. With the guidance of the spirits, Sarah and I performed the ritual, channeling the collective energy of the settlers' souls to confront and banish the malevolent entity. The forest trembled, and the malevolent force let out an ear-piercing shriek as it was cast back into the darkness from whence it came. As the Whispering Woods fell silent, we knew that we had broken the curse that had haunted us for so long. The ghostly apparitions, their duty finally fulfilled, nodded in gratitude before fading away into the night. Sarah and I emerged from the forest, forever changed by our harrowing journey. The Whispering Woods had tested our resolve, but I knew I wasn't going to be the same person I used to be. Story 3. The encounter at the abandoned house left me deeply shaken. I knew I couldn't face this tormentor alone any longer, and I needed help to unravel the mystery that had taken over my life. The next morning, I reached out to my closest friend, Emma, and shared the terrifying events that had been haunting me. Emma, being the pragmatic and resourceful person she was, immediately agreed to assist me in uncovering the truth. Together, we decided to delve into the history of the abandoned house, hoping to find clues that would lead us to the identity of the Midnight Caller. It turned out that the house had a dark past, tied to a series of unsolved disappearances that had occurred in the town decades ago. Local legends spoke of a malevolent presence that had claimed the souls of those who had entered the house, and it had remained unoccupied ever since. We decided to seek out the last surviving witness to the disappearances, an elderly woman named Evelyn who lived on the outskirts of town. She reluctantly agreed to speak with us after some convincing and revealed a chilling tale of how a sinister cult had used the house for their nefarious rituals. According to Evelyn, the cult's leader had possessed the ability to reach into the minds of their victims, extracting their deepest fears and secrets, just as I had experienced. Evelyn believed that the cult's leader had managed to achieve a form of immortality by transferring their consciousness into the phone that had become my tormentor. The eerie etching of my name on the rotary dial was a sign that the cult's leader had chosen me as their next vessel. We were dealing with a malevolent entity that had the power to transcend time and space. With newfound determination, Emma and I delved deeper into the history of the cult, hoping to find a way to break the tormenting connection. We discovered an old diary that had belonged to the cult's leader, filled with incantations and rituals. It spoke of a way to sever the connection, but it required finding the leader's original physical vessel, a task that seemed almost impossible. As we followed the cryptic instructions in the diary, strange occurrences continued to plague us. It was as if the midnight caller was growing more desperate to maintain its grip on my life. Shadows seemed to dance at the corners of our vision, and whispers echoed through our minds. The torment escalated to a point where we could hardly differentiate reality from the haunting illusions. One evening, as we followed a trail of clues that led us to an abandoned underground chamber beneath the house, we discovered a hidden room. In the room, we found a grotesque sight, a row of lifeless, preserved bodies, each with their eyes sewn shut, their mouths frozen in silent screams. It was a chilling reminder of the cult's gruesome rituals. Suddenly, the room began to shake, and the walls seemed to close in on us. We realized that we had triggered a trap set by the cult's leader to protect their secrets. Panic set in as the chamber threatened to become our tomb, but in a moment of desperation, I recalled a line from the cult leader's diary. With trembling hands, I whispered the incantation, hoping it would work. To our astonishment, the room ceased its relentless assault, and the walls retreated. We had stumbled upon the key to break the connection with the midnight caller. But as we made our way out of the underground chamber, we were confronted by a ghastly apparition, the vengeful spirit of the cult leader, their malevolent presence manifesting before us. It spoke of revenge and swore to haunt us for all eternity. In a final, desperate act, Emma and I performed the incantation again, channeling all our willpower to sever the connection between the cult leader and the cursed phone. The room quaked, and the apparition let out a blood-curdling scream before dissipating into a cloud of darkness. As we emerged from the abandoned house, we knew that we had won the battle against the midnight caller. The call ceased, and the torment that had haunted me for so long finally lifted. But the price we had paid was high, and the memory of that malicious entity would forever linger in our minds.